The evening sun was dropping gently over the rooftops of Ibadan when Tunde's flight from London touched down. 7 years. 7 years long since he last walked the red soil of his homeland. The air smelled different, a mix of dust, sweat, roasted corn, and life itself. His chest swelled with nostalgia. He came home not just to see his family, but to surprise a friend who had been more than a brother. Akin, his childhood companion. Akin had helped him when he was just a dreamer, when his plans to study abroad were falling apart. Akin had sold his only motorcycle to raise the last bit of money Tunde needed for his visa. Tunde never forgot that sacrifice. Now, he was back with gifts. In his car trunk were boxes wrapped with ribbons, toys for Akin's children, a new television, some designer clothes, and even a second-hand car imported specially for him. Tunde had planned everything. He would knock on the door, and when Akin opened, he would toss the keys and shout, "This one is for you, my brother." But fate had written another story. When he got to Akin's house, he found the compound eerily quiet. The iron gate was half open. The house looked older. The paint peeled. He honked twice. No one came. Then two little faces peeped from the window. Akin's children, Bisi and Femi. They were older now, but Tunde recognized them instantly. Uncle Tunde, Bisi squealed when he stepped out of the car. She ran into his arms, laughing. Tunde smiled, half warm. "Where is your daddy?" he asked, expecting Akin to appear any minute. Bisi's smile dimmed. She exchanged glances with her brother. Femi spoke softly. "Daddy is in prison." Tunde froze. "What? What did you say?" Femi lowered his eyes. "He's been there for months. They said he did something bad in school." Tunde's heart raced. "And your mother?" "She went to Uzu," Bisi replied, referring to a nearby town. "She will be back tomorrow." The gift suddenly felt heavy. He stared at the house again. The silence now had a voice. It spoke of pain, confusion, and disgrace. Without waiting for the next morning, Tunde left the gift with the children and decided to go to the prison that evening. He couldn't sleep knowing that Akin, a gentleman of faith and discipline, was behind bars. The road to the prison was long and rough. As he drove, the street lights flickered like weak candles. Thoughts swelled in his mind. What could Akin possibly have done? The Akin he knew wouldn't hurt a fly. When he arrived, the guards were skeptical at first, but when they saw the look in Tunde's eyes, pure concern, then they let him in. The iron door clanged behind him, and then he saw Akin. He was thinner, his beard rough, eyes tired but not broken. The two men stared at each other for a long moment before Akin smiled weakly. "Ah, Tunde, you came." Tunde's voice cracked. "My brother, what happened to you?" Akin sighed deeply, his gaze lost in the cold distance of the prison wall. My brother, it's a long story, but since you have come all the way, I will tell you." And then, he still began. Akin leaned forward on the metal stool, the dim prison lights casting a long shadow across his tired face. He began, his voice steady but soaked with memory. "It all started about 10 years ago," he said. "I was still teaching at a Living Spring secondary school. You know that school, the one with children of those rich men who never had time for their homes." Tunde nodded slowly. "One morning, a boy came crying that someone had stolen his money, 20,000 naira meant for his school project. I was his class teacher, and so the matter was handed to me. I called the class together and asked who took it. Everyone shouted, 'Not me, sir.' The noise was like rain on zinc. I didn't want to accuse anyone wrongly, so I went into the staff room and prayed quietly. I said, 'Lord, help me find the truth without hurting the innocent.' And in that stillness, I felt a whisper in my spirit. Tell them to bring their bags and notes. Search among their books. You will find the money. but pretend as though you saw nothing. Later, call the boy privately. It sounded strange, but I obeyed. So I returned to class, asked everyone to line up and drop their bags on the table. I searched notebook after notebook until there it was. Crisp naira notes tucked between the pages of one of the boys' exercise books. I knew the handwriting. It was Tomiwa, son of Shivajani, one of the wealthiest men in town. Tunde listened intently, his brows furrowed. I closed the book gently. Akin continued, pretended like I hadn't seen anything. When class ended, I called the boy who lost the money and said, "Don't worry, you will have your money by break." At break, I called Tomiwa to my office. He came in trembling. I said softly, "My boy, go and bring the money from your bag." He broke down crying, "Sir, I'm sorry. I don't even know why I steal. My parents give me everything, but I just can't stop." I sighed. He was only 15, so I closed the door, knelt with him and prayed. I told him that God could change his heart. That day, he gave his life to Christ. I took the money, returned it quietly to the owner, and said nothing more to anyone. Months passed. Tomiwa changed completely. He became humble, even started leading prayers in the school fellowship. Years later, he graduated and went abroad to study. I thank God that obedience had saved his soul. Akin smiled faintly. But he added, his voice lowering, "Sometimes what worked once is not meant to be repeated." That was the lesson I learned too lately. Tunde frowned. "What do you mean?" Akin looked down at his shackled hands. 10 years later, I faced the same test, but this time my obedience brought me here. He paused, the silence stretching like a long night. Tunde murmured, "Tell me everything, Akin." Akin exhaled, as though the memory itself weighed a thorn on his chest. "It was last year," he began quietly. "I was still at the same school, still teaching the children of the rich. I never stopped praying for my students, never stopped believing that every one of them could become better if only guided rightly. Then one morning, it happened again, another case of missing money. Tunde shifted uneasily in his chair, listening closely. Hakim continued. The students were restless, shouting, blaming each other. It reminded me so much of the first time. So without thinking twice, I said to myself, God solved it this way before. He will do it again. I called the class to order, asked everyone to bring their bags and notes, just like I did 10 years ago. I searched carefully, and there, between the pages of a mathematics notebook, I found the missing money. This time, it was a boy named Jide, the son of a powerful politician in town. I followed the same pattern, pretended not to see it, closed the book, dismissed the class, and called the boy later during the break time. Akin's eyes glistened with pain. But I didn't know that this Jide was nothing like Tomiwa. When I told him to bring the money, he looked at me shocked and said, "Sir, I didn't steal anything." I told him gently, "My son, I saw it in your notebook. I won't shout. Just bring it and let's settle this quietly." Then he screamed. Tunde's eyes widened. He screamed? Yes, loudly. So loud the entire staff room heard. He started crying. "Sir, why are you accusing me? I didn't steal anything." Before I could explain, he ran out, shouting that I was trying to frame him. By the time I followed him, some teachers had gathered. He called his father on the phone right there in the corridor, saying I was humiliating him. Within hours, the school was in chaos. The boy's father stormed in with police officers. They searched his bag again, and strangely, the money was no longer there. Gone. Everyone stared at me like I was mad. They accused me of lying, of defaming a child, of abusing my authority. I lost my temper. I slapped the boy when he called me a liar. That was the mistake that sealed my fate. Tunde sighed deeply, shaking his head. The father pressed charges: defamation, child abuse, assault, etc. His lawyers were ruthless. They said I humiliated a minor and used my position to intimidate him. The school didn't even stand by me. They said they had to protect their reputation, and that was how I ended up here. The room was silent except for the slum hum of the ceiling fan. Tunde rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Hakim, my brother," he said softly, "one solution does not solve every problem. The voice of yesterday is not always the voice for today. Even divine instructions need new confirmation." Hakim nodded slowly, his eyes glistering. "I know now. I should have prayed again, waited again. I acted on yesterday's word and forgot that God's way are new every morning." Tunde placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, my brother. We will appeal. I will get you a good lawyer. You won't die here." A faint smile crept on Akin's face, the first real smile of hope. When Tunde left the prison, the sky was already dark, but the stars seemed brighter than before. He glanced at the car keys he had planned to give Akin and whispered, "You will still drive it, my brother. When you come out, you will drive this." As he drove away, the moral of the story sank deep in his heart. Even good men fall when they assume yesterday's wisdom is enough for today's battle. Every instruction, even divine, must be renewed with time. Yesterday's miracle can become today's mistake if we stop listening. The story will be continued. If you love this story, kindly like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification button so you don't miss on the next day. God bless you.